Will Banks lost his APOS certification, and he will never work in law enforcement again. He was taken into custody from the courtroom and began serving his sentence today. Over the years, there have been several law enforcement officers in this county who have been charged with crimes, but this is the first one I know of that has gone to prison. Eric Kelso, who had been a reserve officer at Hanceville, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of distribution of a controlled substance. He received a split sentence, a 5-year sentence with 4 months to serve, the balance of 56 months on probation. In addition, Mr. Eric Kelso agreed to fully cooperate with the state of Alabama in these prosecutions, to testify truthfully in all related matters, subject to a penalty of perjury. His wife, Donna Kelso, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of unlawful possession of a prescription drug. She received a 12-month suspended sentence and 24 months of probation. Mrs. Kelso further agreed to cooperate with the state of Alabama fully in this investigation. Jason Marlin, who was the police chief, pleaded guilty to 2 counts of obstructing government operations. He received a 12-month sentence and 24 months probation. He lost his APOS law enforcement certification. He will never work in law enforcement again. Further, Mr. Marlin agreed to fully cooperate with the state of Alabama and to testify truthfully if needed in any other cases. Lastly, William Andrew Shelnut. Mr. Shelnut has applied for admission to the Coleman County Accountability Court on the 1 misdemeanor he was charged with. The status of his application will be decided by a judge at a later date. Next, I'm going to turn the podium over to Chief Joey Duncan, followed by Sheriff Gentry.
Good afternoon. First, I just want to say thank you, District Attorney Champ Crocker and his team, Sheriff Matt Gentry, and SBI. They've been an asset in us when this investigation started and the role they played, and we're very fortunate to have such a great partnership in our county. Also want to recognize our investigators. Once they learned of the investigation, they displayed the integrity and professionalism that we require to Coleman Police Department all the way until it was turned over to the SBI, and I'm very proud of them, and the standard that we set at Coleman PD was clearly displayed through this entire case. Thank you.
I want to thank District Attorney Champ Crocker, Special Agent King for the job they did on this case, and Chief Joey Duncan. When we learned of this information early on, we started working together to bring a resolution for something that put a black eye on law enforcement. You know, in law enforcement, I've got over 27 years in and 12 as a sheriff. We deal with a lot of horrific incidents. And there's nothing more horrific than law enforcement officers making bad decisions. Because what we believe in as good law enforcement is we don't tolerate bad law enforcement. And that's the reason that we're here today. You know, in 2026, law enforcement and elected officials face difficulties that we've never faced before, dealing with social media, untruths, all of those things. But one of the greatest statements I've ever heard is, if you do right, you fear no one. And that's really what these things are about, doing what's right. The District Attorney's Office standing up, being a voice for the people with law enforcement. I mean, look at all the law enforcement across the state that are here to make sure that this does not happen again. You know, for me as a sheriff, meeting with the citizens of Hanceville, their council, their mayor, coming in to try to take a bad situation and make it better. You know, that's what we do in law enforcement. That's what we do as a community. So I just want to applaud everyone's effort. I will say this, we did take those individuals into custody. They are in a detention facility. They're not in our detention facility due to the nature of their work in law enforcement. So we're making arrangements to ensure everyone's safe. So I know that's always a question that we take, but again, I want to thank strong law enforcement for the job they're doing to make sure that our community is safe, and the job that you do at the District Attorney's Office. And as we move forward, we'll be working with the City of Hanceville to make sure that they're good and sound, and anything they need, we're here to take care of them. Thank y'all.
And I want to thank the Hanceville Mayor Pro Tem, Janice Shelton, for her attendance here today. She has been dealing with the aftermath of this, and she and the council and mayor have worked very hard at the city of Hanceville. We'll take a few questions if there are any. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Shelnut is expected to appear in court on Monday, but I know on the sheet it says that's going to be determined at a later date. Will he still be going to court Monday?
That will be up to the judge.
Okay.
Other questions?
So,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Wilbanks, will he actually go to state prison or just be held in like a county jail type thing?
He will go to state prison. Typically, inmates who have been sentenced stay in a county jail until the Department of Corrections is ready for them, and that can just depend based on the Department of Corrections and what they have going on at that time. But yes, he will be in a county jail until he is sent to DOC.
And Chief Duncan, from what I think we all understand, the Hanceville Police Department was the one that kind of found this whole case to begin with, and your investigator, was brave, I guess, kind of brave enough to turn it over to, or turn it in. Can you speak about the investigator?
So we had a major theft ring we were investigating, and we had learned of illegal activity related to these individuals involved in this case. When the first officer, we had met with DA Champ Crocker to talk about an arrest, and then days later it was determined there was multiple officers. And at that time I made the decision to contact the SBI, request they take the investigation, and we turned everything over to them so they could move forward. Thank you.
Daryl Green for you news here. My question is, when you consider the dispatcher's death, 58 non-felony cases, do today's sentences represent full accountability in your opinion?
I believe they do. And without getting too far in the weeds, we have sentencing guidelines that we have to go by. Now, the ethics charge is not subject to those guidelines, but Will Banks's drug charge is. And under those sentencing guidelines, due to his lack of criminal history, the guidelines said that's an out sentence instead of an in sentence. However, those things can be aggravated. And so, due to the nature and his involvement in that portion of the crime, we were able to aggravate his drug sentence from an out sentence to an in sentence. Also with Eric Kelso, his lack of criminal history under the guidelines gave him an out sentence, which means probation, instead of an in sentence. However, due to some of the specific circumstances, we were able to aggravate that sentence and turn it to an in sentence instead of an out. So yes, I would say so.
So, Sheriff, you said that the inmates that they're being held in a different
Sure.
facility.
Sure.
And I assume that's a safety reason.
It is.
So how do y'all, when you bring somebody in like that to the jail,
Mhm.
how do you ensure their safety, especially being in law enforcement, and those other
No.
inmates hating on law enforcement?
Sure. Oh, great question. So one of the things we knew with them coming into custody, we'd made arrangements with another sheriff's office to have them transferred and moved there. And then that way no one knew their identity coming in. And then also put them in solitary. So they would be locked down 23 hours a day with only 1 hour out due to the circumstance of them being in law enforcement. So they're in protective custody. So they're not harmed by somebody that maybe sees something on media or something like that. So we have an obligation to protect them when we take them into custody.
Did they know that they were going to jail today when they showed up for court?
I don't know the answer to that. I know they had requested to stay out for a little while, but that request was denied.
Go ahead.
And you said that there were aggravating circumstances for Eric Kelso and Will Banks, that you were able to go from out to in. Can you talk a little bit about what those were?
Well, Will Banks's aggravating circumstance was him taking a leadership role in these crimes. And under Alabama law, that can be used as an aggravating circumstance if you lead others to commit crime. And that certainly was the case here. With Eric Kelso, this involved the dispensation or distribution of drugs, and the guidelines allow for an aggravating circumstance if it is causing a risk to human health, and certainly distributing drugs causes a risk to human health, and so that's the aggravator we used for him. I would just mention this, that the cleanup is still going on, and by that I mean that we had to dismiss a lot of cases in which these officers had arrested people, because it's not like we could go to court with them. And there were cases at Hanceville Municipal Court. In that court system, there were felonies and misdemeanors here that some of these defendants made, and unfortunately we had no choice but to dismiss those cases. And there were people that Wilbanks and company had arrested who did not have to pay for their crimes as a result of that. And so that bothers me. We've talked a lot about the evidence room. The sheriff's office has stepped in and has taken possession of that evidence under an agreement between the city of Hanceville and the courts, and they have been trying to sift through some of that. It's a mess. We've talked before. There's been pictures about how this guns and drugs and money and all kind of stuff was just thrown in there unaccounted for and unusable. And that was one of the things, if you remember, the grand jury made some recommendations last year after seeing this, and the grand jury said these cases in which evidence was in the Hanceville evidence room cannot be prosecuted. And unfortunately, we weren't able to, but because of that.
I know the sheriff's office has handled Hanceville stuff since. I know call logs are probably heavier. What is y'all's plan for the future with that, and how have y'all been able to maintain that with both the county and then managing Hanceville City? It's probably one of the shifting tradition.
So one of the things that is important in working together is to make sure it's done correctly. And so our deputies stepped up. We come down there. We started working with the officials in Hanceville to make sure that they're okay. And it is a daunting, task. It costs a lot of revenue. It costs a lot of extra time. Puts a lot of wear and tear on the men and women of the sheriff's office, and they do an amazing job. The good thing is, up front, it was kind of chaotic, but we got it leveled out. Now it's very consistent. We're answering about 80,000 calls for service a year. Being able to work with the officials in Hanceville to clean out the evidence vault, and then at their request, we run our canines throughout, the entire facilities for them. So I think what you're seeing is that effort to make it better now. So now we've got all of this stuff taken care of, and the city of Hanceville working with us, they can start to rebuild that trust, and they're doing that. The mayor and the pro tem, they're talking every day on how they want to do it better and how they want to make it better for the citizens. But day in and day out, our deputies are going to be there. We're going to be answering calls, answering questions, any problems they have. That's our job. And that's one of the most important things for us, is to make sure that they're safe. No different than dealing with the inmates in our jail. I mean, we average 430 inmates a day in our jail. So these are situations that we've dealt with. We're accustomed to, not with law enforcement being arrested like this, but it's important to bring balance back to the community.
In an odd way, I feel like this has collectively made y'all better, like workmanship-wise and proactive to kind of see needs between the city, the county, and the DA's office. So in this weird way, y'all kind of figured out, how to manage things
Sure.
in Hanceville, and it's brought things to the surface.
Well,
I have a question, I guess, but yeah.
No, and that's a very good point. So in law enforcement, when things like this happen, it brings out an element that hates law enforcement. They get a voice and they're saying that everybody's bad, everybody's crooked, we're doing all these bad things. But the good citizens, what I call the 80%, become stronger with law enforcement. And you're always going to have the 20% that are saying all the bad things in the world. But I look towards the 80% that builds that bond with law enforcement and says, hey, we're sorry, we're going to be there standing shoulder to shoulder with you to make this better. And that's what I've seen since this happened, that 80% in Coleman County has joined with the chief, with me, with the DA, Aaliyah, to be strong, because that's not the community we live in and that's not who we are. So bad things do make us stronger, and I think that's a prime example of this.
And you talk about, from the beginning, the message to the community was that, ethical law enforcement is the standard, and today marking a step in showcasing that to the community. When it comes to rebuilding that trust with the community, in a direct sense, where do you feel you are, and what is the next step in your opinion?
Great question. So for the last 12 years, one of the things I've taken a lot of pride in, and sometimes you get scrutiny for these things, but I've taken a lot of pride in our community meetings. We average 70 community meetings a year where sheriff's office is going out, we're cooking, we're part of the community, the district attorney's there, the chief's there, with the citizens. They get to know us. So when these things happen, they're going to ask us questions. And we're able to answer their questions face to face to continue to bring that trust, so they just don't see a headline and say, oh my gosh, what's going on? They get to sit down and eat and break bread with us and find out what's going on, and then they build that trust and it's not broken. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do, is not break that trust, but how you do it is day in and day out, be out there with the citizens, talk to them, and make sure they know what's going on.
In a world where high-profile criminal cases sometimes takes years, this was only about 17 or 18 months. What does it mean to be able to have the vast majority of these cases wrapped up within that short time period?
Well, it means a lot, and I want to credit our circuit judges in Coleman County for the hard work that they are doing to move cases. I also want to credit the staff of the DA's office to help the work they do to help move cases. One of the advantages we have is this year we went to a 2-week jury terms. It used to be just a 1-week jury term, and usually that whole week wouldn't even get taken up. Now we've gone to 2-week jury terms, and there's a greater chance for any particular case to get called for trial when you have that much runway in front of you. Someone asked me the other day, why are you having so many of these big cases settling right now? And the reason why is there's a 2-week jury term starting on August the 24th. And we were ready. And usually when defendants know that their case could get called for trial is when these negotiations happen. But certainly to get this done in 2026, in a year and a half from indictment, that's certainly a win, and we're glad to have that done on those 5. I appreciate everyone being here. Y'all have a good day.